Hi, this is Maria from Out Healing, and this is Krys. Hi, Krys.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So I told people that you were a medium, but I think you're a little bit more than that, right? What do you what do you
Yes, I
consider yourself?
am a little bit more than that.
Yeah. We're a lot more
I
than
am a little bit,
that.
just a little bit more than that. Um, I am a psychic medium. I am a shamanic practitioner. That's the brunt of my work.
Mhm.
Um, I also do psychic readings, mediumship when it comes up, but definitely intuitive healing and shamanic work is a big thing.
Perfect. So how did you go from psychic medium to shamanic? How did you take that step and um, how did you hear that call, basically?
Oh gosh, I wish I could tell you it was like the stars aligned and it was just I flowed with everything. No, I'm the trouble spirit child who fought every step of the way.
So,
So,
like, you hear the call, you're like, "Nope, I don't want
yeah, and I'm like, mm-mm, mm-mm, that's not me. Nope, you got the wrong one.
to."
That was me. I started out, so I've always known that there was something different about me my entire life. And quite frankly, it scared the bejesus out of me being
Mm,
able to sense spirit and just know things, especially, the not so nice kind of energies around. So it started there. And then I first actually, the first step I took was Reiki. So I did all the attunements that Usui Holy Fire. So I am a Reiki master as well.
mhm,
That was my first big thing that I did. And
mhm,
then I did some mediumship development with various teachers. And when the shaman thing came calling, I ran even harder than I did before.
yeah,
So yeah, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't asked a lot of questions. I resisted, denied, all the
mhm,
above things I did. Hard-headed, very much so, you
mhm,
know. So now that I'm here though, I can say that, a lot of it was fear-based. So I did a lot of past life regression kind of work too to resolve some of that stuff.
yeah,
But, it's now that I'm here, I understand everything that transpired prior to, but Reiki was really my first opening into anything.
yeah. So how does your I guess I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
My husband and I were just talking about past life, um, and if is it helpful or is it not helpful to go so far in the past? I think it's helpful in some ways because it kind of gives you an idea. You could kind of see, oh God, this is something that I've been holding on to, this energy, this
Right.
pattern that I've been holding on to since then. Now I'm able to let it go,
Right.
like I see it. But then there's other point of views that is like, why is it necessary? You have it right here in this life. If you resolve it in this life, then that's enough.
Right.
So what's your point of view on that?
Well, I kind of agree sort of with a little bit of you're in the here and the now, but there's certain things I feel and I can only truly speak based off my personal experience
Of course.
that I highly doubt I would have fully understood had I not had the ability to have kind of revisit that past life,
Mhm, mhm,
because it played such a huge role that fear-based root and that dogma played such a
mhm.
huge role in this life.
Yeah,
And when that particular past life experience came up, and I was actually shown it in a dream,
mhm,
um, that I mean was a huge turning point in my own acceptance to
right.
my particular role here.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
do feel like there are certain things where, I'm I'm nosy by nature. So not that I do anything with information,
I just want
but
to
I just like to
know.
know. I just want to know. I just want to know. So, there are certain things where if it's not pertinent to this life, then there really is no need to know, right? But I
Right.
do feel there are some things that we need to revisit and actually work through
Yeah.
to get through, because it plays a huge role in what you're here to do in the here and the now.
Right. I agree completely with your response. I did past life regression, and I was shown I was trying to fit into a culture or a group of people that did not want me to fit in. And and it's not that they didn't want me, it's just I was an oddball, even in, even in that, I was an oddball. And
Mm-hmm.
in a past life. So I revisited, and I was able to release it and let it go. And I was able to hug myself in that life and say, you don't need anyone to accept you except you.
Yes.
Accept yourself, woman. And the moment that I was able to hug her in that past life, I was nurturing and hugging and healing myself in this life.
Yes. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I mean, there's sometimes you need to see that point of view. I completely agree. But I also agree that it's like, don't over dig. Don't overdo
Right.
it.
Oh gosh.
Calm,
Yeah.
cálmate, calm down.
I
Like
mean,
that's
I
enough.
I remember when I first fell down the past life rabbit hole, right?
Mhm,
And the way that, because I do have mentoring clients and I do teach as well.
mhm,
So the way I kind of programmed how I teach is all the things I wish I knew in the beginning instead of falling down so many rabbit holes.
mhm,
So the past life rabbit, oh my God. I remember I would sit at night with like a clear quartz, stone and all these assistant astral travel stones and dreams. And I would sit with and okay, team, I just want to know and I want to see. And oh God, I think I did that for like weeks on end every night.
mhm.
But, there's that part where, and they didn't show me anything, by the way, doing all that.
Did not work.
They didn't show me jack shit doing any of that stuff. But because that was, I didn't have, there was, at the time, there was no true purpose, relating to this life. It all came, past life experiences and remembrances all came when it mattered
Right,
during this life,
right. Yeah,
Then they were like, yeah, no, you're just being nosy, so stop.
that's definitely something that I agree as well. It's when you need to know, you will know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you don't need to know, I don't care what you do
Oh
or
gosh,
you're
no.
summoning, it's when you need to know, you will know. And that's why that kind of releases a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves,
Yeah.
and brings us back to reality. Is like, okay, when I am gonna need to know this, it will happen, and I'll get to see it.
Hmm.
So how are you out of the metaphysical closet in your family, with your family?
Um, with my family, I would say confidently say yes at this point.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, it wasn't, but I really internally struggled. It wasn't even more so of how I would be judged. It was me and my own judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'm an islander, I'm a Pacific Islander. So
Mm-hmm.
we're very superstitious and very cultural. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, there's that Catholic influence, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So since I was a kid, I always battled with that those two, opposing viewpoints and belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, being in the spiritual closet for this entire time really wasn't too much to do with how I would be judged from the outside world, even though, of course, hey, we're human. We all care about judgment on some level.
Right.
But it was more so of me not feeling like I had a solid understanding and foundation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I've, and again, here's where the past life work came into play, really
Mhm.
important for going through all of that stuff. So now it's led me to, yeah, I am out of the closet, 99.9%. Because we still all have that little tiny little drop sometimes that
Yeah,
rears its ugly head of,
yeah. It's like,
yeah.
exactly. It's like, oh, some friends, I don't tell some of my friends, or not even some of my friends, but some of my acquaintances that
Mhm.
I don't tell. I'm actually completely wide open now. It took me a while.
Yeah.
I'm
Isn't
completely
it so
wide open.
liberating though?
Oh
You
yeah, yeah, yeah,
know?
for sure. My
It's like,
family,
if they love you, they love you. If they don't love
yeah,
you and they don't get you, then that's okay
that's
too,
okay.
you know?
Yeah. My family is Mexican, of course, and the first thing that comes to mind, La Maria es una bruja.
Mhm.
Maria, I'm like, Mom, what? You're the witch in the family. I'm like, what? I'm no, I'm not a witch. Even though I have to say that more and more I'm open to it. Like before, I was like
Yeah,
super offended. How dare you call me a witch?
right. I
Because
am
it's
not.
yeah,
Your mom sounds like my kids. So they're like, "Are you gonna go do your witchy stuff?" And
yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? Guess what? You're one too."
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the it's so demonized, that word
Yeah, I
still very
agree.
demonized. And I was very like, I'm gonna take this personal because I'm not a witch. How
Mhm.
dare you? I'm completely different. And I'm just like, you know what? Fine. If you want to call me a witch, I'm a witch. I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Like I'm fine.
Mhm.
But it took me a long time to get there, because I was also I grew up with religion, and there's nothing wrong with religion. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with being a witch. I consider myself Wiccan or anything like that, but there's nothing wrong with any of it. It has to do with how do we feel about it inside,
Right.
and
Exactly.
we need to label things as
Oh,
humans.
of course,
Oh my
because we
God,
can't
let me give her a
understand it if we
label.
don't have a label, and it's not valid if it doesn't have a label. I
Label,
think,
yeah.
it's I feel the same way when it came to the term psychic, and I was like, "Oh God, how dare you call me a psychic?" I and then for in the beginning of my journey, especially when I started opening up and working with clients, I didn't even have psychic readings as an option on my menu because I am not a psychic. I am not a psychic. I am not, because it's just that stigma that was attached to the
Yeah.
label.
It's like, do I
It
have a turban?
Yeah, it's,
Am I
"Ooh, let
wearing,
me tell you your future." Like, what?
yeah,
No, it was,
no.
yeah, it really was. I'm like, that fucking label. Oh, I hated it.
That's why I hate titles. Like
Mm,
seriously. Like I've been through shamanic training. I've been through mediumship and psychic and all that stuff. I'm a Reiki master as well. So it's
mhm.
like, you know what? I'm just a sensitive person. And the
Right.
person that comes to me for help, you're gonna get a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
I can't label it. I can't give you, I'm going to give you an hour of Reiki. When sometimes when I'm doing Reiki, my guides are like, he's done. That's enough. After 10
Yeah.
minutes,
Right.
it's
Right.
like, I can't charge you for, this is where
Right.
we need to get out of that box of menu offerings of how long it's individual. This is my opinion, of course. It's
Mhm.
individual.
Mhm.
It really depends on the person that comes to see you. Maybe one person comes to see you and you're with them and you're helping them for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. And then another person's there with you and it's 3 hours later and we're still talking.
Right. Yeah, it is.
It just
You know,
depends.
it totally is. And I understand the human need for a label. I understand all of that, but I float in the middle of that. I
Yeah.
get the need for a label, but I also understand that not everything can fit on a label, right? So
Mhm.
even when I was updating my schedule, because I can dip into my left brain very easily and I can dip into my overly right brain. So
God
Um,
bless you.
when I when I teeter the balance, oh God, balance is my kryptonite word this lifetime.
Yeah.
So when I fall into that label, that mindset of I need to create, like, how, because I can be very systematic. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, how am I going to present this to the collective of service, right? And I I was like, okay, so I'm a Reiki master. So let's put that Reiki, and I work with the angelic realm a lot.
Mhm.
So let's
Mhm.
put Reiki angelic healing,
Mhm.
but it's not always that. And then I would
No.
think, oh, I need to spend X amount of time. They have to be on my table or sitting with me X amount of time, then do X amount of time. I'm like, it never works out that way.
It never
Never
works
works
out.
out that way.
You're trained to do 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here, three
Right,
minutes
right.
here. And it's like, oh no, my guides are like, stay here longer.
Yeah, yeah.
F 3 minutes. I don't know where you guys come up with this stuff, but let's just stay here longer.
Exactly. It's like I tried in the beginning, I really tried so hard to be by the book
Yeah,
of, okay, I at least need to go by the book for this because
right.
I'm very systematic, but at the same time I really have this rebellious side. Um and
Nice to
so
meet you. Me too.
I try, right? And so I have this rebellious wild child side against the grain, and then I have this, well, it has to be systematic in some kind of way. And so, I came to a happy medium where now it is just an intuitive session.
Yes.
What
Yes.
comes, and it kills me when people are, well, is it going to do Reiki for 30 minutes or
They're
Reiki
so
for this? And
used
I'm like,
to.
that's,
Yeah.
I get it, but that's not how it always is. And yeah, you're totally right. This labels are, ugh,
And then we program people to expect certain things. So
absolutely.
when I get a client to come over, I'm like, listen, I am different.
Mm-hmm.
If you want, I'm gonna give you what I offer, and this is what I offer. And I basically go through what I offer and what I see, and I give them energy work or whatever. But it's like I'm not the same as the Reiki person that you saw 3 doors down. I'm
Right,
not that
right,
person.
right.
Um, and I make sure that they understand that as soon as they come in, because I'm not going to give you Reiki for an hour if your guides are telling me that's all this person can handle.
Exactly.
Because I don't want to hurt you, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to hurt me for not following my guidance. Do you know what I mean? Because it always
Right,
ends up
right.
that way.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I know it's funny because you think, wow, I come with a disclaimer. It's a running joke with some of my clients, right? I come with a little disclaimer of, it's not just the typical of what you think it's going to be.
Mhm.
And I I articulate this to anybody that I work with, whether it's learning something, mentoring, just healing talk or
Yeah.
intuitive sessions or just a plain old psychic reading,
Mhm.
that my core intention is always for the best and greatest, highest
Good.
good, right?
Yeah.
It's not always what we want, but
Right.
it is what we need. So,
Yeah.
however that plays out, is how it's going to play out,
Right. Right.
you
And
know?
I want to ask you a question about something like that, kind of in the same lines of it, where you have people, and I don't know how you do your sessions, but for me, when I do Reiki, intuitive stuff comes up,
Hmm.
and I tell them it, because Reiki to me is like, hey, your emotional compass is off because you're not really paying attention to your anger. You're not really processing your grief.
Hmm.
Um, that's how I see Reiki. It's an emotional tool where it's like you're all this energy is kind of stagnant here because you need to be able to scream. Go ahead.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like do it right now. I'm just kidding. No, I don't do that. But have you had a client where you tell them, "Oh, I'm sensing a lot of grief," and they're like, "No, I'm not."
Oh yeah. Hmm.
No, I'm not. But listen, my father passed away, and I never grieved that. But I never grieved it at the moment. I didn't feel it.
Hmm.
Do you know that's how they come back?
Yeah,
And I'm
it
like,
is.
why do you tell
It's
somebody it's the same thing? It's like you
it's
didn't process
grief.
it.
It's
Yeah.
grief. Or, I this is when I noticed that this is kind of a trend, and I do believe that it's just not talked about enough in healing, is that, I notice every once in a while I'll have, or I've had that experience with clients where you're saying you're giving your intuitive report, and they're like, either like, "Oh, that's interesting," but you could tell it's just total like, "No, yeah, no, I don't have that issue." You know, um, when it comes to grief or hurt or trauma, because it looks different for
Everyone.
everyone.
Right.
It's totally different for everyone. But I find that a lot of individuals are not aware of honoring and grieving the shoulda, coulda, woulda song, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
The, because we all have hopes and desires and beliefs in something. I
Hmm.
feel like, the minute that you're emotionally invested in anything, even if it's
Yeah.
like 1%, there's a hope
Hmm.
that comes along with that.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't follow through the way in alignment with your hope, that's a letdown. That's a
Yeah.
grief.
That is a grief, right?
So, yeah, so some people, if they think, "Oh no, yeah, I cried when my dad died. I did all of that." Or that breakup. "Yeah, I did. I cried it out. I did this. I moved. I changed the furniture in my house. Like, I did all the refreshed energies." And I
And
said,
then you
"But you
say,
still,
yeah, and
yeah,
then you say, guess what? You are good enough. And
yes,
all of a sudden
absolutely.
it's like,
What?
that's all I needed to hear
I can't,
to be
yeah, or
like,
you,
that
yeah,
that emotion just, yeah,
you're still good enough. You've been good enough before. You were good enough then. You're good enough now. You're good enough
yeah,
in the future.
yeah,
And hey, it's okay to admit
yeah,
that I wished it turned out this way. It should
yeah,
had this happened. This could have happened. This and that.
yeah,
It's perfectly okay to say, yes, I felt those feelings.
yeah,
Because the minute you acknowledge it, guess what? Oh,
right.
you're able
Right.
to let it go.
But it's that part in between
Hmm.
where you have to be able to see that part of yourself.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
part of your nobody wants to see that they hold this feeling of not being good enough.
Right,
It's like,
absolutely.
no, I want to cover my eyes. I don't want to see that because I'm perfect. I love myself.
Right. I tell
Myself,
myself
what are you
affirmations
talking
every
about?
day in the mirror all day long, and I'm like, "But
Yeah,
you haven't acknowledged
yeah,
that." I
right.
can tell anyone can do that. Anyone can praise their self all day long, but when you're not actually taking the time to acknowledge that
Yeah,
and sit with it, it's just gonna be like, "When you're ready.
yeah,
When you're ready."
yeah. I think it's a lot of responsibility for I'm gonna use a label because that's the only label I know. Light workers. It's a lot of
Mhm,
responsibility for us because we become a mirror and we become a therapist. Even though we're not
mhm,
therapists, we become that support that they need, that support that, hey, I'll give you that shoulder if you need to say something right now.
mhm.
It's like,
Yeah,
I don't care what you tell me right now, I won't judge you for it.
absolutely.
And we become that person in their lives that we as humans, we're very judgy and we don't allow each other to be open and honest and authentic because it's
Right,
uncomfortable to us.
right.
That's crazy. So before someone goes to see you,
Mhm.
what should they do beforehand?
I aside from the kind of prereq kind of work that I personally do in preparation for specific sessions, I really just tell my clients, stay hydrated as much as possible. We understand the concept of energy flowing and moving through the body. Eating light as much as possible, not to come in like, don't go have fast food before you come in for a session, just because you just want to set yourself up for the best possible platform that you can be on.
Okay, let me ask you, because it's something a lot of energy workers don't say to clients. Why do you recommend that they eat light?
I recommend them to eat light, or I should say, to try and have at least plant-based things through the day before your session, just because it highly affects your vibration. And so, if it's coming from, you know what I mean? Hey, I've bounced back and forth between vegan and pescatarian, and I go
Mhm,
through all of those things. But when you're coming in specifically for a session, you're telling your spirit team, hey, I'm ready to come into this sacred space and
mhm,
do whatever, right? And so they're already doing so much behind the scenes in preparation for that. Why not do your due diligence, in my mind, and create the best possible platform? So if we understand, I'm going to go have this fast food before I come in, or this heavy meal, and now I'm like, oh, like just sluggish and tired,
mhm.
or you had a lot of processed foods, that
Yeah,
matters with your vibration.
right.
So,
So what I noticed is every time I do Reiki on someone, they get really gassy and they
mhm.
get and they go to the bathroom a lot. And that's part of it too. I would recommend somebody definitely doing that,
Oh
eating a little bit
yeah.
lighter, because depending on the person, of course,
Mhm.
you'll
Mhm.
move a lot of energy in your stomach,
Right.
and you could be uncomfortable
Mhm.
waiting for the practitioner to
Right, right. Yeah, so
finish.
it is like, and I really don't. I tell I do tell clients sometimes. I do tell everyone this. If you have a specific intention
Mhm,
or a goal in mind, I mean, you don't have to exactly articulate it to me if you choose not to.
mhm,
But, commune with, whether you want to say God, universe, spirit, all that is, creator, whatever label, again, label, right? Whatever you want
mhm,
to put on it,
mhm.
have that conversation, open up about that,
Right.
because spirit does so much on our behalf behind the
Mhm.
scenes, we have no
Yeah.
idea. So, when I do get asked, like, what is best to do before, do I need to prepare anything, and I'm like, no, just be as present as you can in your own space for where you're at right now. Hydration, eat light if you can, and then of course afterwards, right, make sure you hydrate again and just keep flowing, because I
And
have no.
take it easy,
Take
right?
it easy. Yeah, take a salt bath if you can. Just go home and
Mhm.
relax.
Yeah.
Because just because you leave, and I tell all my clients this, just because you leave my space, doesn't mean that the healing stops.
Right.
You've
Yes.
opened that door for your team, and the divine to do what they have to do with you. They're going to
Yeah.
take advantage of that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
even I even tell this, it's funny because I even tell this to clients who do just regular readings, because,
Mhm,
as intuitive healers, it doesn't matter if we're just having a conversation.
mhm.
We're like, for me, when I process and move energy, it's always through like burping and like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's kind of
It's
funny
true.
when I'm trying to have a straightforward conversation, and I'm
You're like, "Burp."
it, it's going to happen regardless wherever you're at.
Mhm.
So even when I'm having just a straightforward general kind of reading or anything, I'm always like, I am a healer, and it's God will utilize me in that, even if you're just asking about career at the moment.
Right.
So still be gentle.
Yeah. So I guess lastly, the last question that I would have for you, well, there's two more, sorry, is what would you recommend for someone that would like to start to, I don't know, research or be a Reiki master? Or, I mean, because I know right now there's, with Reiki, there's so many different, lineages of Reiki out
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
What would you recommend for someone just starting and wanting to do something like that?
For someone that's wanting to start out, I would suggest getting to know, creating your own solid foundation within self first, right? because everything that we learn, and everything that we do, the tools that we obtain, Reiki, one of them, your shamanic rites or whatever, Kundalini, or what is that? There's so many Shoden Reiki, it's
Oh,
all,
there's
there's
so
so
many.
many,
There's
so
so many
many.
out there right now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just, it's, those are all just little added tools to your whole treasure chest.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a solid sense of self first, or at least an idea, so getting to know what your own energetic field looks like, feels like, what the chakra system is, like just the basic of all of that kind of stuff, I find that that goes a long way versus somebody like me who did it totally ass backwards
Me too.
and
I
went
didn't
and
even
did
know
it.
what chakras were
I
when I
didn't even
first
had
started. I'm
no
like,
clue.
what?
Went to my first Reiki 1 and 2 class, right? And was just like, chakra, what is that? What does this mean? What does that mean? Like, and then from there I fell down all the rabbit holes. But I just kind of was like, went in totally blind and
Yeah.
unaware. And as I moved along, even moving from Reiki master to shamanic practitioner, by the time I got to the shamanic part, I realized, holy crap, I already been doing all of these things, have already
Yeah.
been making its way to the top, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would highly suggest, have a strong, or start the sense of self. What are
Would you
the
recommend a book
um
that kind of goes in that same area, or like find your who you are first before you, because I think that's something that I did as well. I did something completely backwards. I started my shamanic practitioner, my first shamanic courses,
mhm.
not even knowing what a chakra was. I didn't even have my self-worth as a person. I didn't even know anything. I just said, okay, I'll sign up.
Right, like, hey, I'll do that.
I'll do
So
it. Yeah, let's
so
do it.
because I'm an esthetician, right? So I'm coming out of, spirits pulling me out of aesthetics. And when I first started doing facials, this is really when it first started coming up for me. When I first started doing facials, my whole intention was, I want this person to snore. Because if you're snoring, then that means I'm doing a good job,
Yeah.
And I would see this just filter, this channel of light just filtering through me, and I would be pushing the crap out of it to anyone that was on my table. But at the end of the session, I was done,
Drained. Yeah.
drained. And that, I always said, I hate doing facials, I don't want to do it because I'm just so tired. One and done, one and done.
Yeah.
And then
You were
it's such,
giving
I was
part of your
giving
light,
them,
part of your energy.
exactly. I was,
Yeah.
man, I was giving them every ounce that I could possibly give. I was giving, because I was like, I have to hear you sleeping. And so from then it evolved to started seeing colors, right? And
Mhm.
here I go, wow, that's so weird. I'm seeing like this like orange and like red. Maybe that's a color they need. So I'm just like shoving it in.
You have no idea what you're doing. It's like, yeah, let's do this. Stay
Like,
with this.
oh, okay. They must need this like really purple, or they need this and that, this
Yeah.
blend of pink and purple. I don't know. That's what they need. And I went straight to Reiki, and then I was like, ah,
Now
oh,
I get
chakra
it.
colors. I get it. So, but then when I first, I really didn't dive too much into any chakra books and things. I would read what I can online. I really was turned my focus to the mediumship stuff, because I was like, okay, Reiki done, Reiki master done. Okay, now let's move on to mediumship.
That's yeah, that's such an American thing to do. And put the list of things I want to accomplish
Yes,
here.
here,
And I'm gonna circle, accomplish.
right,
And it's like, why? Like, why do
right.
why do
Because
we do this to
we
ourselves?
do that, and we're like, Reiki done, that done, that done. Okay, now move along. I don't need to touch that anymore because I did it. And so let's focus on here. But unbeknownst to my logical mind and earth mind, all of that stuff still kept evolving and playing a part,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
then when the shaman thing came calling, I was like, oh, no, no, no. I've already done the healing training.
I'm good.
I did that.
I'm
Did you
good.
see my check mark? I did that.
You want a certificate here?
Here, I already did. I'm done.
Yeah.
So, I started out really just reading as much about mediums as I can. Um, One of the first books that I ever purchased, spiritual books, was Rebecca Rosen, I believe is her name. Uh, and I think it was the one had to do with connecting with like your guides.
Mhm. I'm sorry,
So
this
that was,
this is
oh
like
yeah, you're good.
Right.
So
So,
yeah, I did that. I did that one, and then the next book was the Wheels of Life. It was all
mhm,
about the chakras. I'm sure everyone's seen that. It's pretty thick though, but
mhm,
that's a great book to have. However, because I do recommend that to clients. Take your time, and you're not gonna front to back read it and totally get it and understand it. I even now go back to the book and pull out certain sections, and you
mhm.
learn something new every time you revisit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. So I guess my last question is, how would you want people to contact you if
ah,
they want a
so
session with you?
session with me. So, I have my my work business is Infinite Soul Tribe. So
Mhm,
I have a private Facebook group under that name, Infinite Soul
mhm.
Tribe, and Instagram, same name, and the website is the same thing, just Infinite Soul Tribe. There's booking online there for certain sessions. And I'm always totally open to just my contact info is there, my phone number, email, of just reaching out,
Yeah.
because sometimes somebody feels drawn to have something done, but they have no clue, like, I don't know what I need, or, what is that? I just was asked last week. I don't even know what a shaman is. What is that?
Yeah.
And
So
so,
that's, yeah. So I started thinking or contemplating on making videos of me giving people readings so they could see what it looks like.
mhm.
Because I think it's needed because a lot of people are super intimidated and they're like, I'm just going to stick with the Reiki because that's what I know. But
Yeah,
they
yeah.
could definitely probably use like some shamanic stuff or some, I don't know, we could offer so many things um that they might, so I might do that actually next week.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if,
that'd be great.
yeah, if you are interested in doing something like that for your business, that would be wonderful. I think you just
Oh, absolutely.
like read somebody and just so they could see what it is. But I think I'm gonna offer like whoever, I don't know, maybe somebody from the YouTube channel that I'm drawn
Mhm.
to. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think it's funny because spirit has really been pulling me to, I like to say, behind the curtains,
Mhm,
and in the shadows,
mhm,
and spirit has really been pulling me center stage. So
mhm.
I've been kind of working through that of,
Yeah,
I just want to stay over here and just do,
yeah. Do you
and
know
that
why you
is,
do that?
I don't, because it's not about me. It's
It's not about you.
as much
None
as,
of what we do is about
right,
us.
is about us. So it's
Yeah.
that kind of thing of, I don't want the spotlight as much as, like, I don't want it, because it talks about me in this body, or I'm a representation, and that's just like the littlest tiny portion of
I
the whole
guess,
big picture.
yeah, I guess my question to you would be, you're actually making this about you.
Mhm.
You are making it about you because it's not about you. None of us are it's about us. It's we're channels. We
Mhm.
are vessels. We are all source.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if
So
if
that's
you if you
it's the
make it about
battle of
you,
the ego, right?
right?
It's the
If you
battle of
make
the
it about
ego.
you for not wanting to do it, that's you are making it about you.
I'm making
But
it
if
about
you're
me.
like, you
Yeah.
know what? wherever you want me, I'll be there.
Yes.
That's not about you. You see the difference?
That's exactly how I have been that's the mental barrier I've been working through, right? Of
Yeah.
I always like to be, even before I came on to anything with, my gifts or spiritualism or anything like that, in
Mhm.
just regular corporate life, I like to be behind the scenes and just do the quiet work. I don't like the attention.
Mhm.
And then I thought I would do the same thing, here, because that's just my personality is introverted.
Mhm.
Um, and so
But that's your personality.
unless you get to know me, and then I'm
Yeah.
very crazy fun.
Yeah.
But so going through that, it really is, it does become about you when you're like, yeah. But if you say, because I've heard my team loud and clear when I have these conversations, but if we need you to be here, then you should just be willing to be there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh, but
It's
it's in
like,
front of people.
yeah. It's like Jonah. It's like Jonah from the Bible. Use me. I will
Right.
serve. Go over there. Oh, hell no, I'm not
Oh,
going
right.
over
And
there. Are
I'm
you
like,
kidding
mm-mm.
me?
And they're like, get on social media, do this, be in the
Yeah.
spotlight, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Because I feel like a big thing, it's to the point where I'm like, God, am I like a spokesperson for spirit guides? Because
Yeah.
more and more people need to know you don't just
Yeah.
have angels and guardian angels, you have
Right.
a whole
There's so
A
much more
team,
out
there's
there.
so much more.
You have
So
no idea.
spirit guides are just very like spokesperson for spirit guides, and like, we
Right.
need to talk about this part, this and this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I surrender, I'm
Yeah.
willing to do whatever you need me to do. And they're like, okay, start creating videos. And I'm like, I don't
Uh.
know.
I that's something that I had to overcome as well. I of course I started doing these videos, but I I was shown I'm really good with going in deep in myself and seeing,
Hmm.
hey, I see you. You know what you're doing
Hmm.
right there. You're like, you're being selfish. That's what they said. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm the most giving person you know. It's like, no,
Isn't that
you
such a
don't.
mind-blowing thing when they're like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, you're
yeah.
selfish? And I'm like,
You're super selfish right now. You have a difficult time giving. And I'm
hmm.
like, and I felt into it in my heart space. And I'm just like, oh my God. That is the only way. Everybody could tell you what they think, an opinion. But the
Hmm.
moment you feel it inside of you, it's like, okay, you're right. But
Right.
it has to come in my time. It has to be
Hmm.
in my time when I'm ready. You can't push people to do things,
Right,
But
right.
yeah, I completely understand
Yeah,
what you're
it
saying.
really is. Because I mean, like, anytime, oh my gosh, anytime spirit brings up any shadow work or anything, right? Or any emotional response or emotional trigger, I'm right there, like, let's talk about it, let's deal with it, let's dive all the way in there.
Mhm.
I'm a huge advocate for pulling it from the root of origination,
Right.
not just surface level band-aid stuff, but
No,
let's
you
really
can't.
dig in there and
Yeah.
get it, right? And so when
Unless
they
you're
brought that,
crying
yeah.
in fetal position in the bathroom because you just pulled something
Right.
out of you,
And then,
then
yeah,
it's
no,
not
you
worth
have to do,
it.
but for like with clients, it's like, okay, let's get there. But with me, I'm just like, oh no, dig it out. Let's feel it, because that's my hard-headed way of going through things, right? Because
Yeah.
if I don't get it and fully absorb and understand it, there's no way you're gonna push me or encourage me to do anything.
Right.
So even with this of being on the public platform, I really had to dive super deep in. And still till this day, I still do a ego check and a balance, checks and balances of, okay, am I
Mhm.
good? Where is this coming from? And hey, I had my come to Jesus talk and my surrender to God talk. I've probably had a
Mhm.
hundred of them, but the most recent one, the most recent one really was just, okay, use me wherever you need me. And
Mhm.
so they're like, okay, great, let's go here on the stage. And I'm
And
like, yeah,
let's
but
test her.
let's set right. Oh, you really mean that? Let's see how much you mean that. Let's put her over here on the stage. Go over there. And so now I'm like, okay, I'm getting comfortable with it, but technology is another whole subject. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with going on the stage, but me and technology are not the best of friends, so I have to. It's a
You
learning
know, you're
experience.
creating that, right? Every time you say those things, you create that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
As long as you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, girl. it's like it's like creating a boundary, right? And I laugh at myself because I create a boundary and I know when it's fear based, I hear one of my guides saying, "Do we really want to do that?" And as soon as I hear it, I'm like, "Damn it. No."
All
Right?
right. Last thing before we stop.
Yes.
Do you have anything to like a message or something for people just in general?
Um in
Either
general, message in
inspired,
general.
either inspired or not inspired, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay. Yes, I do actually, because they're being active right now. So yes, I do.
Okay.
Um, my message to would be to anyone that hears this is we all have a spirit team, a team, whatever you want to call it, right? You
Mhm.
have a plethora of divine beings working
Right.
with you. And we all have intuition, right?
Mhm.
So we all have an inner light, and it
Mhm.
is just uncovering. Doesn't go anywhere. You don't find yourself. You've
Mhm.
always you're not lost. Um, and anyone and everyone has the capability of just uncovering and exposing their light,
Yeah.
really, so we all have intuition, we all have a spirit team. You don't have to be gifted or anything to
Right.
have one. We all
Right.
do. So we all are infinite beings, which is
Right.
why I'm Infinite Soul Tribe, because we all are
Mhm.
infinite.
Yeah.
So I think more and more people, especially through this time frame that we're in collectively,
Mhm.
are starting to realize that, and that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. That's really cool for sure.
Yeah.
I completely agree. There's nobody more special than anybody else. We're all
No.
equals. We
Right.
are all equals. Just because Krys and myself are able to tune into certain things doesn't mean that I'm better than you. I'm sure that you could work on, spreadsheets like no other or
Mm-hmm.
manage corporations. I can't do that. It doesn't mean that you're better than me.
Mm-hmm.
We're just different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I truly, truly believe that if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have the opportunity to learn and to grow.
Right.
Period.
I agree
You know, doesn't
completely.
matter. You
Yeah.
still do. We all do. So, that would be the one message that I would want everyone to hear.
That's a perfect message to end this video. Thank you so much for being a guest. I really appreciate you
Yes,
and
thank
love you for
you.
being a part of my life because you're also part of my tribe. I respect you and love you. And you actually done a reading for me a long time ago, and it was so spot on. I didn't even know what to do with it. I was like, this girl is talented. This girl is freaking talented. I'm telling you right now. Um, so I
I
highly
appreciate
recommend
that.
her for sure. All right,
Thank you.
sweetheart.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I
Have a
love you
great
right there. Yes, you
bye.
too. Bye.